right at, you know, what should you use to get people to opt in, and then what should be on the thing that you use. So we've been working with 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. We have a really good relationship with the folks over at 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, which do, you know, those pop-ups that you see a lot of. That's what they're known for, but they do so much more behind the scenes, and other tests and things that they're doing to grow lists. It's incredible. But we've been lucky to work with them to get some insights on some of their really clever growth hacks, we'll call them, or just really cool technologies to get people to opt in, because obviously that's a big part of, I mean, if the money's in the list, we got to get people in that list, right? And hopefully people who are really qualified and who really want good stuff from you. So what are we talking about then when we're talking about that? So for us, we have a big focus on copy hackers on, and if anybody goes to 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and if you haven't been there before, you'll see, click into a post or scroll down or show some, there's also different ways that we're measuring what you're doing. And then we're providing you with a pop-up potentially, but also other things that you might see that are there to get your email address. So we primarily do focus on that big pop-up, and you hear a lot of crap about pop-ups out there, right? You hear like, some people seriously hate these things, but they work really well, and if you do them right, they can work extremely well. And I'm not talking about just any old pop-up out there. So for the longest time at Copy Hackers, the longest time, and we're 4.5 years old, so how long could the longest time be? But for a very long time, we would use things like, we would use a pop-up to capture an email address with, you know, the usual opt-in bait, some sort of offer of some kind. Brian Clark calls them an ethical bribe, which is definitely a copywriter's way of putting it. But we would give this something away in exchange for an email address, and, you know, we'd have it in the sidebar and all of that kind of stuff, and it wasn't doing that well. Like, you hear about people growing their lists really dramatically, and it wasn't happening for us. And our traffic was really good and getting stronger, but and our list growth was improving as our traffic improved, of course, as our brands got bigger and better known. Things got better, but we had a pop-up box to collect email addresses, and it was just okay. Like, I just didn't have any high expectations for what a pop-up box could do. Anyway, so we started working with @𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and one of the things, and this isn't an advertisement for 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 at all, I don't work for them or anything like that, we started working with them, and they have this interesting approach. And I talked to Noah Kagan about this separately too, and he thought it was very interesting, and I hope that, anyway, whatever. But it is interesting because this is what they do. They have a pop-up box shown on exit intent, really clever exit intent technology too, not just like random crap. So it's shown on exit intent, and it invites you to a thing. It's usually got an animation involved in it to make sure you're grabbing the eye, and it's very big. It's like this isn't the size of my screen, and it's got about a 1-inch margin. No, it's very big. It's not a 1-inch margin. It's very big though. And on it, this is the critical part, and I wrote a post about this, and I firmly believe it, because of all sorts of data, and not just this one test. But they've got two buttons, and I'm sure everybody's seen this, and everybody who hates pop-ups is like extra mad at these ones, because they have the yes, I want the thing that you're trying to give me, and the no, I'm an idiot. And the no, I'm an idiot button, we were strongly against that kind of language, and we still are, and we certainly don't use it. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 doesn't necessarily promote it either. But that was where people started talking about this 2-button layout, and that 2-button layout has been critical for our list growth. You wouldn't think it's that much, but it's everything. So we went from like every day, you know, double-digit signups to adding 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and getting triple-digit signups. And that is based 90% on the fact that a person now has a consequence for not opting in. And previously, with most pop-ups, with most other ways that you can enter information, you don't have a consequence for not doing it. You just don't do it, right? Like, so if I don't want to give you my email address, I just close out, or I just click off, or I just go on with my life, whatever it is that I do. But when you put that button in there and you make it a little tough to click out, when you put the second one in there, you're doing something that people haven't really had to do before, and that is you're forcing people to look at the consequence of their actions, which is a huge part of decision making. Goes back to, there was years ago, I was reading an article by a teacher about how difficult it is to teach students if you don't give them any consequences for failing to do X, Y, or Z. And the criticality, if we're going to use that as a word, of having a consequence associated with every kind of decision that you make. You have to get what's wrong, what bad thing might come of you just going on with your life as it is or choosing not to engage. And so that's been big for us. So that's less about copy and more about the actual creative itself, like the design itself and the technology behind it. But then, of course, there's the question of what goes on your opt-in, your pop-up opt-in box and the call to action copy in there.